Tier 6. We're here for the Australian Grand Prix. I'm your commentator, Joseph Singh. And on the grid today is our owner. Where is he? The Aston Martin in 13th, STB Moldy. So a big credit to him, as we're here on season 30, the Triple X season of STB. I would say what it stands for, but I'm not too sure, so I'm gonna just not make anything up this time. So, let's see, we have a McLaren coming out the pits. That's Jack Robo coming out the pits. I need to put on my lap data and track map. There's a V-carb also coming out the pits. That'll be... who's that? That's not a that is a V-carb. It's Josh. Triple I Josh into turn 1 and 2 through the Alan Jones corner of turn 1. Now he's coming down the straight into turn 3, the PK corner. And then through turn 4, the Ricardo right-hander. It's a left-hander, you idiot. Yeah. Anyway. Head through turn 5, Summerland corner. Into turn 6, 7. And then we go on the inside of the balconies on the left-hand side. Before then flying down Lakeside Drive into the New Zealand Z. The New Zealand zigzag, should I say. Through the New Zealand zig, and then the zag. Turn 9 and 10. Validating his outlap. Then heading down to this 90-degree right-hander. The number 36 V-carb through what is known as Pinnacle Corner, which is there. The Pinnacle Grandstand just there as well. Heading through the Lauder curve. Then into the chicane. Round the Schumacher last corner. And down the pit straight, the Fangio straight. As we head into turn 1 then. The first lap of the day is going to be completed by Josh. Heading through in the 36. He will be followed closely by one of the McLarens. I reckon that will be Jack Robo, who's coming out of turn 1 quite neatly, although he had a little bit of a snap there. Josh though heading through Summerland corner, should I say. We have a Mercedes doing traffic management down there, but the benchmark sector 1 is at 26.3. We're heading through. It's now been behind. I think they're on an outlap though, so we're not going to care too much for them right now. It is now being on an outlap. It's the Iceman. Heading through Josh. Through the New Zealand zigzag. Benchmark sector 2 of a time that I've forgotten. Into the Pinnacle corner. And there's a car around, is there? Is that Williams? Oh no, it's Voxy Diane. Doing a bit of traffic management down by the Ricardo corner and by Summerland corner. Heading through the last corner, the Schumacher curve, down the Fangio straight, and the first lap of the day is the benchmark, which is a 1:16.6. Is that going to be beaten by Jack Robo? No, it's not. Robo's backed out. So, I think it'll be a Red Bull who's doing another lap. Where is one of the Red Bulls? There's one of them. Where's the other one? I've lost him. There we go. It's Alex Batch, known for his McLaren racing in RGR. 2 tenths off the pole time goes Alex Batch here in T6 for STB. The two Saubers setting 1:17s, a 17.3 for Linden, and then Ibuprofen setting a 17.5, 9 tenths lower than, I can't see, there we go, Monkey, who sets the pole time and then gets beaten by 100th by Yoshi. Yoshi, a character we know from Mario Kart, now onto the Formula 1 grid here in STB, and rocking Tier 6 with a 1:16.6 so far. One of the Red Bulls taking the pole time away from him now, with going 100th better than him, with another 1:16.6, 4 by Wedlake, the Welshman. Then comes one of the Alpines. I think that'll be Jamo. It is Jamo up into 9th. He's the lowest of the people who have set a time so far. We have one of the Ferraris ending their outlap. That'll be Ultra. Starting lap now. We have one of the Aston Martins as well ending an outlap. That is Eakin Games. I was going to call him EAC. That's one of the McLarens going over the line. That is Jack Robin setting another lap. That is a 17.3, 400ths off of Lyndon's time. LDN's time, should I say. As heading through, we have one of the Hasses coming up towards the line. That'll be... We have CRC Dominic heading down the straight. We have one of the Mercedes. Looks like they're starting another lap, so I think it's Yoshi starting another lap then. We have Dominic as well on a lap at the moment, trying to set a barnstormer. We have, I think one of the Salvage just completed a lap but not set a better time. We have one of the Red Bulls coming into the pits. One of the V-Carbs of... That's that. Thanks, innit? What's his name? THX. The kid. Heading... Oh, it's that kid. Ah. I'm learning these names now. As Ultra sets an Ultra Barnstormer up to the top of the times. And then the Aston Martin says, no thank you, I'll nab that off you, thank you. So, Iakin nabs it off Ultra. The owner, STB Moldy, goes behind Alex Batch with a 116.9. He's a 10th off of Alex Batch, one of the more recognisable names off of the well-known RGR League. But we have, I think Yoshi's on another lap, and there's a car spinning. Yoshi has spun, and there's a Haas involved. That isn't Monkey, so that is Dominic. Dominic and Yoshi having a bit, it looks like a bit of contact, or maybe evasive action by Monkey, but either way, Yoshi breaking his front wing on another lap. That is drama here in STB qualifying. Chazzy, meanwhile, has set a 117.1. We have Jamo, who's invalidated. We have that kid. Will he grow up to the top of the times? Yes, he will. P2 and 600ths ahead of Ultra in the Ferrari. So the Scuderia Toro Rosso gets ahead of the Scuderia Ferrari, who is midway through the stages of going into the pits. We have one of the Aston Martins. Is that STB Moldy behind his teammate coming into the pits? We have one of the Williams on our lap right now, on an outlap, it has to be said, as well as the Iceman, who's on another outlap. I thought he was out earlier, but it looks like he might have done an installation lap. We have the V-Carb of Josh as well on an outlap. We have veteran Muho, another very recognisable Turkish man from RGR, heading through. The man who's in the top of the midfield in GP1 in that league, in the 69 Ferrari this time. He's known for his Aston Martin antics. Can he do anything better for the Scuderia? His teammate's up in third. Veteran Muho goes up to third and replaces his teammate by 100th, and he is about he's half a tenth behind that kid, who looks like he's on an in-lap. We have both Mercedes going over the line. Well, no, one of the Mercedes coming out the pits, the other one going over the line. That will be Hussein Kuzi, who's 9th at the moment, behind Josh. One of the Salvage just went over the line. Looks like they did nothing better. There's a Red Bull going over the line. We'll watch that. That will be Wedlake ready to set another lap. We have Voxy Dian, currently 18th without a time. He's looking to change that. He's heading through the Lauda curve. And the Duracell Williams heading around the last two corners here in the race down under. Looking to make a name for himself here in Tier 6. The Season 30 of STB. And it's 16th for Voxy Dian. And we'll see if Iceman can do any better than the man who was so a couple meters in front of him. As he goes over the line. And that is 16th for Iceman, replacing Voxy Dian. Nice times coming in for the Renault-powered Alpine. We have one of the Ferraris coming into the pits. We have a Mercedes of... No, that's not Yoshi. That's Hussein coming back into the pits. We have Monkey going over the line. The Haas Monkey in 8th. Goes up to 2nd. And he's a 10th off. He's a 10th better than Josh. So both Scuderia V-Cards beaten by the Haas of Monkey, who's only behind King Games. As Wedlake takes pole. away from King Games, as I say that, by 0.2 of a second, 161. It looks like we could drop to below the 160 mark into the 115s. Let's see if the Alpine of Jamo can do that in a lap's time. We have DK as well, looking to do the same thing. Barnstorm overlap to put him right on the board in a great way. We have Ibuprofen, nearly half a second up on his lap so far. We have Linden splitting the Mercedes, going 0.6 better on that lap, and going 300ths behind Yoshi, who had that weird contact earlier on. We have Ibuprofen still 0.4 up, looking to really make an impression. And as he comes out of the New Zealand zigzag, heads down into Pinnacle Corner. Let's see if he can make any kind of progress. Meanwhile, we'll cut away from him for a little bit, because I think, yeah, Moldy's starting a lap. As we have one of the Mercedes and one of the Haas's as well coming to the line. Here comes Ibuprofen, though, into the last 2 corners. The Sabre driver looking to kick his way up the order. Ibuprofen heading over the line. The Haas and the Mercedes pit, so here comes Ibuprofen up into 13th, and only 500ths off of being in the 116s, only a 10th behind Moldy. And we have one of the Aston Martins going over the line. That's King Games starting a lap. Another Haas going over the line and starting another lap. Chazzy goes over the line as well, setting up. I can't tell if he's just set a lap or if he's just come off one. Oh, I thought it was a contact there. It's just Dominic doing traffic management. As Chazzy here. We want Jamo 0.9 up on his lap so far, so maybe his true pace hasn't been shown yet. As we have everyone else come through. I need to get chat up, don't I? Hang on a sec. What's happened here? There we go. There we go. So, STB Moldy goes up to P3 behind his teammate by a 10th. And he's 2,000s ahead of the pit-stricken Haas Monkey, the Toyota Haas Monkey. That's a great lap by the owner of this league. Purple Sector 1 for Ultra. He could be shooting back up to the top 4 here in qualifying. But meanwhile, we have one of the Williams. I think he's on an outlap. He isn't. I'm talking about the other Williams. Where is he? He's Chazzy, isn't he? Chazzy up to the line, goes to 14th, ahead of Jamo, the other Alpine. So the Williams and the Alpines really battling it out here in qualifying for the lower spots. But we have one of the Haas's of Dominic setting his first time on the board. It's invalid and it won't count. We have an Alpine behind that. Looks like he's finishing an outlap. Jamo though, whoa, Jamo go wide and invalidating at turn 2. I know how painful that is from ALR. As we have, meanwhile, Moldy looks like he's on an in-lap. Josh on an out-lap. We have one of the McLarens. Are they on a lap? No, they're not. We have Moldy's not on a lap either. We have one of the V-Carbs. We haven't spoken about them in a while. Where's Josh? There he is. Josh looks like he's about to start another lap. We have Chazzy who looks like he's about to come into the pits. Is he? Or is he on a lap? He might be on a lap. We have the other Williams of Voxidan on an outlap. And we have Yoshi on an outlap as well. We have the other Haas of Dominic. Is he on a lap? Looks like he is. We'll see as he heads into Pinnacle Corner. The 90-degree right-hander. Then heading into the Lauda curve. There's a Lauda curve at Austria as well, which is turn 1 at that track. Here it's turn 12. Because the grandstand's called the Niki Lauda grandstand. They're heading out the Schumacher corner, down the Fangio straight, over the line, and 15th for Dominic, splitting the rivalry between Chazzy and Jamo, as we have one of the Mercedes going over the line. That's Yoshi finishing an outlap. We have Ultra. Let's go back to him. Oh, he's on an in-lap, but he did go up to P2, which I did miss earlier, so great stuff by Ultra to go up behind Wedlake. It's a Ferrari Red Bull 1-2. It's an all Aston Martin second row. Same story for the 4 Scuderia cars, Scuderia Toro Rosso and Scuderia Ferrari, or it was for Scuderia Ferrari before Ultra made that improvement. as we have Dominic looks like he's ending his run. As we have Voxy down, currently plumb last. Can he change that? He can! Only a little bit though. He's up into P18, a 10th ahead of DK, Donkey Kong. As meanwhile we have, is that a Williams? No, it's not. I think that's an Alpine. Who's that dot? It is the Iceman ending an outlap. We have Yoshi. Where's Yoshi gone? There he is. He's invalidated. So Yoshi, after the weird incident at that very corner earlier on where he broke his front wing end plates, he's now, I think there's a Haas stop. There's a Haas stop. Is that Monkey? No, it's not. It is Dominic doing traffic management. What's happened to him? Yeah, he is going very slow. He might have ran out of fuel. Yeah, if you listen to his revs, he has run out of fuel. He has definitely ran out of fuel. Meanwhile, his teammate Monkey looks like he's 800ths up. That could mean the difference between him and Moldy. He goes over the line. The Toyota Haas's Monkey goes to P3 here in Tier 6. He's 600ths off of Ultra. So a great lap there. We have another Ferrari going to the line. That's Vettori Mujo ending an outlap. We have a Red Bull on a outlap, I think. Is Alex Batch, the McLaren RGR driver, here in T6 and STB, going over the line. As Chazzy's out, Chazzy's retires. That's the end of the session for the Williams driver. There's yellow flags and around for traffic management. We have Iceman, I think, is just at a better time. He has going up into P13. Great lap by him. 300ths behind Alex Batch. We have a Mercedes going over the line. Looks like it was Hussein, who's starting another lap. We have Dominic's out. Dominic's retired. So we have, it looks like there was a thing there with a Red Bull. Wedlake gets a penalty. The pole sitter gets a 5-place grid penalty for a collision with Donkey Kong. That is gonna change things. That means Moldy will get into the top 4. That means Ultra would take pole position provisionally right now. So although Wedlake would get the pole position award, he wouldn't actually start on pole position, which is such a shame for him. Meanwhile, we have the other Ferrari of Vettori Mujo going up ahead of what am I trying to say here? In between the Toro Rosso cars, the V-Cubs, as Iceman now pushing round. Doesn't look like he's pushing fully. I reckon this could be an in-lap, and it is. We have Jack Robo a 10th up, but we're going to cut away from him momentarily as we have Jamo 2 tenths down, but depending on how his last 2 corners were, he could still improve a little bit. We have one of the Mercedes going over the line. That is Hussein going up to P4. Mighty lap by Hussein Kuzi. As meanwhile we have someone else just went up the order. Who was that? I think that was Jamo. It was Jamo up into P12, 1,000 separating him and Alex Batch from P12. The Alpines 12 and 14. We have STB Moldy now, the owner of this league, the man who's taken it to so many strengths. Now isn't able to set a strength of his own. He stays in P6. We have the V-Cub of Josh. We have another V-Cub taking pole position. That kid has taken pole position away from Wedlake, and now Wedlake will start 6th with that 5-place grid penalty. We have one of the Salvers, Ibuprofen's going over the line, going nowhere. We have a Ferrari going over the line, going nowhere. We have no one else. Oh no, we have Alex Batch who's still on a lap. He'll be the last one set time. He's hit the wall though. That may cost him, but he only needs 1,000th, and he doesn't get it. So that is your grid order for the Australian Grand Prix of STB Tier 6, apart from the fact that Wedlake won't start in P2. He will start in P6 for Tier 6. What a frantic qualifying session here at STB. In Season 30, the qualifying session down under has shook the grid up. And the season opener for Season 30 is looking to shape up to be a good one. This has all the watermarks of the Ground Effect Racing League's Australian Grand Prix, which was hectic in its own right. So if this could be anything similar to that, then oh my, I'm in for a treat, and so are you all at home. So we're just waiting for the grid to load for the race. Yeah, very strange. I need to know how did Wedlake get his penalty? That is very peculiar. I'm not too sure how that's happened. I'll try and figure it out and check for you. Who's this? Oh no, I did something, I didn't want to do it. Joseph. He said his fuel ran. Oh, Batch saying his fuel ran out. That's a shame. He was up by 4/10. That's a big shame for him. So we're here for the formation lap here in STB. As you can see, there's a bit of a change. The Red Bull, who was in P2, isn't in P2 anymore. The Ferrari's disconnected, so reliability issues for Ultra. As EE Ultra Fast Broadband looks like it's not gone the way of Ultra right now, but we have the Red Bull of Wedlake. Qualified P3, ended up P7. No, he qualified P2, ended up... No, what am I trying to say right now? He started P3... He qualified P... I'm just going to show you the race director, because I am losing the will to live. No, because it doesn't have the quality results. Anyway, you get the point. Wedlake started 7th. We have all the Red Bull and the Williams, the Mercedes and the Williams there. They're all just like a swarm of bees, but they need to spread out a bit more. Need to spread out, especially in this back part, because when they're trying to warm up their tyres, they're nearly running into each other. You know, treating this as a safety car at the moment, but as you can see, the possible strategies here. There's the possible strategy for Wedlake: hards to mediums, or hards to mediums to softs, according to the game. I agree with the first one. As also, that Ferrari is going to cause a massive issue, because there's going to be a big gap now between the top 5. So that kid, Monkey, Hussein, Iakin Games, should I say, and STB Moldy. Look at the gap that they have to Ultra now. Everyone else behind that. So the front 5, the front 6. No, P1's gonna have cold tires. P3, P4, P5, and P6 are all gonna have cold tires now, colder tires, because of that Ferrari going off. So that could, as Vestromuho gets disqualified from the formation lap due to not parking his grid correctly. Here we go then. 5 lights await the drivers here in STB. The season opener will be underway today. We are away, and it's a great start by the man in 3rd, Monkey there. Monkey's up into P2 already, as meanwhile we have the Ferrari of Ultra dropping back positions. There's a car that's gone straight off. There's chaos, there's people going backwards. There's one of the Mercedes off and one of the V-carbs. And Wedlake's off as well. Wedlake spins at the first corner as well as Yoshi. The 2 Ferraris have had a shocker. One of the Saubers nearly getting loose as well. As we head up the midfield, look at this. Battling between the Sauber and the Alpine. That's Iceman and Linden. Both battling it out. Meanwhile, we head up the grid now. And it looks like the battle for the lead is going to be contested, as that kid looks like he's got the Haas's Monkey on his inside. And he does. Monkey takes the lead for Haas. The V-Carb tucks in behind. Hussein's had a good start, but he's heading through the New Zealand zigzag side by side with Josh. Now as they go side by side into the pinnacle corner, Hussein gets ahead of the V-Carb. Meanwhile, there's battling further back as the V-Carb goes wide. Josh losing many positions. That was a little mistake, touching the grass on the entry, and it's cost him dearly. He was fighting for 4th, now he's fighting for 8th. As meanwhile, we have Ibuprofen and Yoshi's round again. Yoshi, for the 2nd time on this opening lap, spins. Absolute drama. But here we are then for lap 2 of STB in season 30. And it's been a hectic start here in Australia, as veteran Muho pits after his opening lap dramas. At the start, he qualified well within the top 10, so he must have had some front wing damage or a spin or something of the sort at turn 1. There was a lot of cars that went off at turn 1, including Wedlake and Yoshi, but also one of the Saubers went off on the outside of turn 2, similar to Felipe Massa in 2008. We head through then as they go past the balconies on the left-hand side, on the driver's left-hand side. There's battling between Voxy, there's battling between Alex Batch and Jamo, and there's also battling between Hussein and Moldy. Moldy makes contact with QZ, but Moldy gets up into P4. It's an Aston Martin 3-4. As meanwhile, heading down, there's still battling going on between Profin and Voxydan. Voxydan going for the move, no, that's not Voxydan, that's Jack Robo. There's Voxydan battling with Ibuprofen. But Voxydan goes round the outside at Pinnacle Corner and gets it done. The battle for P16 rages on. There's a move by Wedlake now. The Wedlake making a comeback, going round the outside of the penultimate corner. The Hass's Monkey takes the fastest lap. Voxydan's in the pits. We have Wedlake and Ibuprofen both battling out still. We have Jack Robo getting the first penalty of the race, as Jack Robo actually falls behind not just Dominic, but also behind this man, the Iceman, the Kimi Räikkönen fan. As meanwhile, we have Ibuprofen getting passed by, he gets passed by Yoshi, but Ibuprofen looking like he's going to try and come back at him, but not making any moves into Summerland Corner. Heading through, Jack Robo's had a shunt. Jack Robo at turn 6 has had a big shunt. And that is not a place where you want to be parking at all. That will hurt his race a lot. I can tell from having experienced a spin like that at that corner. Jack Robo retires. He knows that in his Hard day is all over. So Jack Robo out of the session. And similar to when I had that spin in ALR in season 2, when you spin out that corner, the damage from it is never replaceable. Alex Batch, though, looking to maybe help out Red Bull after their man Wedlake has fallen down the order, so he's up into 5th, but past the Mercedes of Hussein, who's dropping like a pin today. That kid has also dropped a couple positions in all of that chaos. So Wedlake is now behind the Saubers. There's Hussein's round, Hussein backwards. The Mercedes is round and he nearly hits the Ferrari of Ultra. And he's getting passed by Wedlake, he's getting passed by his own teammate. Hussein spins, and for the 2nd lap running, we've had a spinner. This time it's at turn 1, and it's for Hussein QZ. Absolute shocking for him. That is not a way you want to be pointing. Meanwhile, we have Ian King Games, and that kid's battling. Alex Batch as well is in that mess to the outside of the New Zealand zigzag. Great move. Meanwhile, we have 3 cars battling out here. The Kick Sauber, the Williams, and the McLaren. The Williams drops the tyre in the dirty stuff and goes down the order. Jazzy out of the points. Linden in the points. As meanwhile, up the order, Monkey controlling the field like a DualShock 4 for PlayStation. Meanwhile, we have Eakin Games behind that. Then we have that kid, Alex Batch, and Moldy, who's dropped back massively. Not too sure if he's experiencing grading on those mediums, but he has dropped like a pin, similar to Hussein before he had that spin and dropped even more like a pin. We have Josh, we have Dominic, both getting penalties, as I call them out. Commentator's curse has never been more relevant, as we have lots of battling to keep an eye on here. We have down the inside for the V car making contact with Jamo, the battle for 5th, raging on. The battle for 6th, shall I say? I'm blind. As we head through Somerset Corner. And Josh behind Jamo, but to the outside. You don't want to make a move there. It's ended in tears, and Jamo's sent to the beach. But he's come back onto the track, got the penalty. And now look at the swarm of bees heading onto Lakeside Drive. Josh trying to keep Dominic behind. That's not going to work. Both Alpines. 3 wide, heading into the New Zealand zigzag on Lakeside Drive. Great stuff between these three. Battling like absolute predators right now. As Josh has lost the position to Dominic. He's about to lose it to the Iceman. Or is he? No, he keeps it ahead. What a battle that was. There's a car off. Way off. That is the McLaren of Donkey Kong visiting Diddy Kong and all the other Kongs in Mario Land. Anyway, we have... Oh, what's happened there? There's a Williams and a Ferrari. Looks like they're battling. Nope, that's just me looking at a mini-map too closely. We have another Ferrari though. It looks like he could be within touching distance of a move. We have Wedlake spinning again. That's not the way you want to be parking, my friends. He's off at turn 1. So Wedlake spinning. Not the best stuff there, but Monkey in the lead for Haas. Then comes King Games. Then comes that kid. Then comes Alex Batch. Then comes the second of the Astons. Then comes the second of the Haas's, being Dominic. But Mouldy in 5th, the owner of the league. He looks like he's in a bit of a race of his own at the moment. Just a bit of race management at the moment. Meanwhile, we have this big train behind Dominic. You could call it a trolley train, but for modern times, since there's a penalty for Mouldy, the owner gets a penalty. And whether this league is a dictatorship or not will determine if that gets taken off or not. But we have down the inside for Josh, not making the move stick. A little bit loose on the entry there for Dominic. That could cost him on the exit. Wedlake gets a penalty for track limits. He's trying to battle ibuprofen at the moment, trying to hold him off. We have veteran Muho and Voxy Dan battling, and these two have swapped positions. Voxy Dan having damage though, so that could... Oh, he's understeered into the grass, into the muddy stuff. That's not the best place to be going, my friends. He's lost a bit of ground now to the Ferrari of veteran Muho. Meanwhile, we have one of the other Scuderia cars, the Honda powered Scuderia car of there's a yellow flag. That's one of the Scuderia cars are off. That's Ultra making a mistake and falling behind the comeback king of Yoshi, trying to make up ground for that horrible lap 1. Meanwhile, his teammates trying to do the same thing after spinning off on lap 4. We have the Haas here. We look from the rear of the Haas here on this laser scan version of Lakeside Drive, although Josh could be under pressure from the Alpine. Just having a look back through the field, there's no other battles to be looking at bar this train and bar this train as well. Two cars getting very close to Mouldy. Both of them are Red Bull branded. One of them is what used to be Minardi, now is known as VCAB. The other one is what used to be known as Stewart Grand Prix, but is now Red Bull. And Mouldy, who's driving what used to be known as a Jordan, and is now a car that is the same colour as Jordan, but known as Aston Martin. Aston Martin, who did very well in the wet practice sessions earlier on with the Valkyries and the Vantage GT3. Meanwhile, we have one of the first pit stops being made. That's by Josh. He's coming into the pits. We have King Games taking second place. King Games takes second place. Or does he? As to the outside, that kid on the... Oh, it's contact between him and the Aston. But the VCAB muscles his way through. Great stuff. Iakin now down another position as... Oh, I said King Games was Mouldy earlier, didn't I? Well, I made a mistake there, my bad. King Games, Mouldy's teammate in the Aston Martin, being hounded by the Red Bull. Straight line speed for Alex Batch being on the up. Round the outside of Lakeside Drive into the New Zealand zigzag. Are they going to make it through? They nearly do, but Alex Batch has to back out and round for King Games. He's pointing the wrong direction, sliding sideways, and has done the maddest drift, but he's lost a lot of time and positions in doing so. As there's a Williams round now, and contact. What on earth are they doing? They're doing donuts way too early. As King Games has hit Chazzy, and Chazzy gets a penalty. Iakin's got depression, and there's lots of contact between the Williams and the Aston Martin. Horror for those lot. Eakin Games goes down loads of positions. We have a McLaren nearly going off there. And absolute drama here in STB. We have the Sauber of Linden trying to catch up to the Williams, who pits, so he doesn't need to catch up to him anymore. As Chazzy into the pits after that horrible skirmish with Eakin, who's backwards again, this time by the pit entry. God, this guy loves to do a bit of donuts. Whoa, he tried again. You could call this guy Mad Mike or Colin McRae. He's drifting everywhere. Meanwhile, we have the 10-second penalty being served by the number 8 Williams. And meanwhile, we head up the order. Eakin Games retires. He gives up. He doesn't want to do that anymore. Meanwhile, Eakin Games' teammate, STB Moldy, is being hounded by the race leader's teammate, Dominic, on the inside of the Lakeside Drive New Zealand zigzag. Gets the move done. As meanwhile, we look from the rear of the Haas. Is Moldy, the owner, going to be able to own the Haas driver into the pinnacle corner? No, not just yet. But with 20 laps to go, anything can happen. Meanwhile, the Alpines are in their own little squabble here. With one of the Saubers, Linden's dropped a position to Jamo, and he's trying to get that back. We have... That was the weirdest thing I ever seen. I thought I saw a Mercedes with a Oracle branding on it. Nope, that was just game. Anyway, we head down the straight into turn 1 and 2. Oh, my back's hurting. Well, we head heading down the straight into the Nelson PK corner, which is this left-hander. We have Josh setting the fastest lap, the man who's currently in P12 in the V-Carb, the second of the V-Carbs. Currently setting the fastest lap, but obviously there's no fastest lap point anymore, unless that's a thing in this league, which it might be. But we head through turn 6, 7 and 8, past the balconies on the left-hand side with Dominic. We have the Aston Martin and Moldy. It looks like he's losing time. Yoshi's been passed by Josh. Battling here, the Alpine of Jamo lets the LDN car go through. The Aston Martin looks like he got loose there. That's Moldy. Looks like he got a little bit twitchy there. Quite fitting for streaming on a platform called Twitch. As we have the Kick Sauber, another car making a streaming reference, but not a Twitch streaming reference. Heading around Nicky Lauda corner. And into the last 2 corners, the Alpine trying to catch up to the Jack Doherty branded car. Meanwhile, we have one of the Alpines. Moldy's getting hounded again. This time it's by the Iceman, the Kimi Räikkönen fan, who's coming through. Is another penalty for Hussein, should I say? But heading into the Nelson PK corner, no move made by the Alpine. As we head through the Ricardo corner of turn 4, then into this 5th corner known as Summerland corner with the Summerland grandstand just there. As a penalty for the man in 2nd, that could determine the win. The V-Carb gets a penalty and he could drop down to 3rd. Voxidan gets a penalty as well, but he will only be trying to keep 15th. A side by side between Iceman and Moldy on the outside of Lakeside Drive, and they don't even get to the New Zealand zigzag before the move is made. Iceman ahead of Moldy, then comes LDN, then comes the Alpine of Jamo, then comes Donkey Kong Yariskidis. I pronounced that amazingly. Anyway, we have lap 11 of 29. Can we see the tyre age, please? Yes, you can, once I find the right button for it. That's the fastest lap thing. That's the gap to the leader, but you don't really mind about that. As Dominic gaining 13 positions, Moldy in the pits, so his tyre life must be done. There we go, I found it now. So Moldy was on 10 lap old mediums, and he's coming into the pits after a very struggling end to a very bad end to his stint on those mediums, dropping position after position. Yeah, down the inside for Ultra, and he ends up in Bathurst by the time he gets the car stopped. So he's not going to make that move done. Meanwhile, Wedlake up into 10th, and he's battling with Josh. Veteran Muho gets ahead. Oh no, Ibuprofen's pit, that's what I'm thinking they're battling. Meanwhile, the Williams still ahead of the Ferrari, but not for long. It looks like something could be done about that. Heading down the straight into the Nelson PK corner. To the outside. Not making the move stick. But now heading round the Ricardo corner into the Summerland corner. This right-hander that leads us on to turn 6, 7 and 8. This treacherous jungle of concrete walls and grass and gravel and lost car parts takes us past the balconies, then down Lakeside Drive and into the New Zealand zigzag. Will a move be made to the outside? They both harvest energy heading into the New Zealand zigzag, but the Ferrari gets ahead and makes it a 13-14 for Ferrari. Alex Batch into the pits, as well as LDN, as well as Jammy. So 3 cars all in the pits. Alex Batch, he's known for his good execution of races in RGR, but is he going to be able to do the same thing here in STB? Both the Sauber and the Alpine are out the pits. LDN ahead of Jammo. As we head down, we have the Mercedes of Yoshi ghosted at the moment. We have both of these cars coming out the pits. It's a very treacherous exit, this one, as the pit line puts you right on the apex of turn 1 on the tightest line possible. So you do leave yourself vulnerable when you're coming out the pits there. It's the most horrible pit exit of any track, I must say so myself. Anyway, speaking of horrible, DK is going to get a horrible pass done by the V-carb of Josh, who's trying to go around the outside of the New Zealand zigzag, and he gets it done. The 36 V-carb gets ahead of the Donkey Kong Yarius kid, but obviously he has a penalty. The McLaren doesn't have a penalty, so on aggregate, Josh is still behind the McLaren. The leader pits. Monkey in the pits. He took the lead from the start. He started 3rd, ended the first lap 1st, and now he's pitting here on lap 14 and going from 1st and taking his number 9 entered Toyota Haas down to P7, I believe. As he comes out the pits, he will be behind Wedlake, who started on pole, who qualified 2nd but started 7th. Now a place above where he started, but obviously he had that treacherous lap 1 that cost him a lot. You have the Williams of Voxy down getting ahead of the Mercedes. Moldy. Oh, there's a Mercedes round. It's Hussein, should I say, who's gone round at the last corner. He's got going again. But the Mercedes, the Brackley-based outfit, looks like they're struggling. So Yoshi got kicked. He needs to know. I don't have Yoshi added, sadly. Oh, wait, no, I do. But there's no. I'm just going to cover this one battle that could determine something. As Monkey, the race leader, trying to clear Wedlake, but nothing made of it into the New Zealand zigzag. What about the Pinnacle corner? I'm just going to see that before I invite him back to the inside and to 6th place. That could determine whether he's able to jump that kid or not. But obviously that kid led for a bit before getting passed by the Haas on lap 1 at Lakeside Drive. Meanwhile, the V-carbs into the pits. So we've invited Yoshi back. Now we have the V-carb of that kid coming out the pits. STB's jumped him, but crucially Monkey has jumped him by a long shot, and I don't think tyre degradation's going to make that any different. Yoshi has joined, so we should see the reliability issues sorted out for him. As Yoshi currently in 14th, ahead of his teammate, and nearly 10 seconds behind Ultra, who had disconnection issues of his own on the formation lap, and at the start of the race. Meanwhile, we have the McLaren of DK, who looks like he's just got passed by Monkey, so Monkey still being a cheeky monkey and getting ahead of cars left, right and centre. So they're both going for it here. But meanwhile, Monkey looks like he's trying to catch Josh now, the teammate of the man who led the race in Sector 1 of lap 1. Jammer gets another penalty for multiple warnings. Josh is actually catching up to Iceman. Dominic, the race leader's the man who is leading the race, and the teammate to the man here, no, there, he's in the pits now, and he's dropping down the order But Monkey's now catching up to the battle for the at the moment, race lead. Won't be after they made their pit stops though, but Josh goes round the outside of Iceman and gets the job done. Iceman gets ahead. Iceman gets passed by Josh, and he now has Monkey for company behind him. We have the Red Bull of Alex Batch trying to catch the seat that he drives in RGR in GP1. We have STB Moldy trying to hold off that kid who made his pit stop on the mediums earlier on. But obviously he's going to have more degradation, so the more Moldy can hold him up, the more chance Moldy has of finishing out of him. As Monkey gets ahead of the Alpine of Iceman. Batch gets ahead of the McLaren of DK. And there's a spin, it's a Mercedes, and it's Yoshi again. Mercedes having an absolute disaster class of a weekend, similar to Hockenheim in 2019 in real life F1. Just not the day for the Brackley-based team. Meanwhile, Josh looks like the day for his lead is going to be over soon. We have a Ferrari battling though, battling with a Red Bull of Wedlake. Ultra gets passed by Wedlake. The two men who qualified in the top 3 with that kid battling now for 12th and 13th. That's how quickly things can change here in T6. As now for a move, one of the V-Carbs gets past Moldy. The other one looks like he's under threat. The lead being hung onto by Josh. He's been on those mediums. He's been on those prime hard tyres for quite a while now, but he's got Monkey behind him with probably a quicker setup and fresher tyres for sure, catching up to the back of him. But Josh trying not to let him go that easy. Let's just check on the other Haas. Nothing's happening. So we're gonna have a look at Monkey on the inside of Lakeside Drive. He makes the move and takes the lead back from the V-Carb. He took it from that kid in the other V-Carb on lap 1. He's taken it back from Josh after the pit stop run here on lap 17. We have Yoshi in the pits, now plumb last. We have the Mercedes and the Sauber swapping places. We have the Red Bull of Wedlake getting ahead of veteran Muho. But Muho, he's not able to come back because he doesn't have DRS. Meanwhile, one of the Saubers now going for a move on Dominic, but not making it stick. And CSR, I'm pretty sure that was a game that used to that's a mobile game that used to sponsor the Lamborghini hypercar in the WEC. So we have that kid making a move on the McLaren, who's actually in the pits, so that doesn't really matter. So we have this trio here. Looks like they could be closing up soon. It looks like Wedlake is making a move. He's going to go up into P10, so back up into the top 10 for Wedlake after his hard start. He's for that Red Bull back up into the top 10, and he's going to score points with his teammate Alex Batch provisionally. So we head through as T7 saying that it was great, and I'd beg to differ, to be honest, because the racing in here has been mental. But Tier 7 recently got doubted, saying that it would be terrible. So I think the karma strikes and it's put up a good race. As that car really caused a reaction and a half there by that kid. But he's the only one in the top 5 on the mediums, so he's going to be on a charge. But by the end of the race, is he going to be able to use those mediums to make up track position? I don't think so. DK under pressure from veteran Muho. Yoshi gets another penalty for track limits and multiple warnings and all sorts. As Batch gets ahead of Josh, who pits. So it looks like a 2-stop strategy for Josh. Is it working? I'm not too sure. Those hards, he was only able to take those hards for 9 laps. So that is going to be worrying. Looks like it could be a 2-stop race all round if that degradation isn't just specific to him. We have Monkey now heading on to Lakeside Drive. Then comes Alex Batch, the RGR McLaren driver here in STB Tier 6 in second. Then we have that kid in third, STB Moldy in P4, the owner of the league, chasing down that kid who started on pole. Then he's got Dominic, the Haas driver, catching up to Moldy, the man who started way down. He started in 15th, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just check that. I'm pretty sure he started 15th. And he started 17th. And he's made up 12 places. What a race it's been by Dominic, I must say so myself. And there's your penalties. So everyone apart from Josh has got a 3-second penalty in the race. There was a 10-second penalty for Chazzy for his collision with Iakin Games. But obviously Iakin did DNF, but then Chazzy served his 10-second penalty. And he's now been penalised by one of the Ferraris as he's just been passed by Ultra. So Ultra ahead of Chazzy. Then comes Chazzy's teammate Voxy Dan, who's looking to make a move on him in the next few moments. The closest battle on track is currently between Iceman and Wedlake. Good, some penalties off, turn tyre left back on. As heading into the next corner. Lap 20 of 29 here in STB Tier 6 and in STB Tier 6 in Season 30 as a whole. It's been a very interesting race so far. Mercedes have had a massive downfall. Williams and Ferrari, Williams weren't that far up the order, Ferrari were up the order, but then they've been struggling ever since, and they're swapping positions at the moment as they head into the Nelson Piquet corner, but both of them racing each other actually. Both Ferraris going for it, racing as if it's Schumacher and Barrichello. Oh wait, nope, they would have stopped this battle by now. As then comes the Sauber of Ibuprofen and DK. We have Jamo battling with Josh and Lyndon. Josh heading up the order, Jamo heading down the order. A couple passes there that I may have missed, apologies, as that kid has got ahead of Moldy. Or did he? No, that was because Josh pit, never mind. We have passes being made because Lyndon's pitting. As P19, yeah, P19 to P7. Who's Footy Joe? I think I'm being silly, but anyway. Oh, Footy Joe, is that Jamo? Okay, I think if that's Jamo, that'll make sense. Just check. Anyway, I'll check later on. So we have Wedlake getting another penalty. We have Voxy Dan doing something. What did he do? He passed his teammate. Jazzy's in the pits. That's what he did. He passed his pit-stricken teammate. We have Iceman trying to get ahead of Wedlake, but Wedlake just passed him earlier on, so I don't think a pass is going to be made very soon. Chazzy's now plumb last after his roller coaster of a race so far. Up and down until that collision with Iakin. And since then he's been struggling. Oh, the T7 commentator. Okay. Never mind. Yeah, I'm just being silly. Don't worry about it. We have the Alpines sandwiching a Red Bull. And it's not giving them wings, but it's giving them a slipstream at least. And dirty air. Which is something that Iceman's not going to be too happy with. We have the Haas of Dominic trying to get ahead of Moldy. Not making it stick though. 2 cents separating them. We have the Red Bull. Is he making a move? He's braking very late. He nearly runs into the Renault power unit. But he locks the rears and he's now under threat from the other Renault powered car in this race. The Alpine of Iceman. Jamo though, keeping ahead of Wedlake. The Ferraris squabbling over the Scuderia crown. We have the Haas of Dominic to the outside of Moldy. Not making it stick for now. He's harvest energy a bit too early there. There's Moldy through the New Zealand zigzag as Wedlake does make the move, however. Gets the move on Jamo. And Dominic does make the move on Moldy heading into Pinnacle Corner. So good move there by Dominic ahead of Moldy. The Alpines currently behind the Red Bull. As we have a Mercedes battling one of the Williams. That is Chazzy battling for last with Yoshi. As we have the Red Bull Alpines. The Alpines are looking like they're going to have an inter-team war as well. And Alpine, they're known for having trouble here in Albert Park. After their troublesome time in 2023 on the red flag restart. We have the battle for last. Hot heating up here. We have Chazzy looking for a move on Yoshi. Is he going to make the move stick? To the inside of Lakeside Drive into the New Zealand zigzag. He makes the move stick, or does he? Because Yoshi hangs it around the outside, backs out of it last minute. Great stuff. Now we head back up the order to see what's happened up here. Nothing's happened at the moment, though. It looks like Josh was catching up to STB Moldy. He's made a bit of a mistake. He's understeering in that AlphaTauri. And he heads into the New Zealand zigzag on the end of Lakeside Drive. Is he going to make a move? No, not going to make any move yet. Moldy got close to a move, but didn't make a move stick. Both Alpines getting very close as well, but nothing made of it. We have these guys getting very close into Pinnacle Corner. Nothing made of it, though. The 36 trying to catch up to the 69. But the V-Car not able to make the move on the Aston Martin. To the inside of the penultimate corner. Nothing made of that. But Moldy now being threatened on the outside of the last corner. Nothing made of it, though. They're heading down into turn 1 again. The Alan Jones corner on the end of the Fangio straight. Nothing done there. So Josh juxtaposed. What am I talking about? Josh not making the move on Moldy. Moldy not giving way, being a defensive barrier. Meanwhile, there's been a move there. We have Hussein getting ahead of Voxy down. Another Mercedes battling another Williams. As the battle for last and the battle for 14th between those two constructors. Meanwhile, 3 constructors battling for P4. Well, it looks like 2 of them are going to battle for P5 now as heading onto Lakeside Drive. On board with the 36. Is a move going to be made? Moldy harvests energy. Hussein now gets ahead of Ultra and the Alpine swap positions. Interesting. So Iceman on the fresher medium tires now trying to pounce at Wedlake. So Alpine making that team decision. Hussein gets ahead of Voxy Dan. As there's contact between Moldy and Josh. The Aston Martin makes contact with the Toro Rosso. Nothing made of it. They nearly made contact. And there's a bit of grass kicked up there by Josh. Josh in the second of the Red Bull, the second tier Red Bull car. Trying to make a move on Moldy. Nothing made of it. I think a move's being made by Profin and Ultra as they're heading into the New Zealand zigzag. We have to the inside for the V-car. Nothing made of it. Moldy doing all the right things. Textbook defending. Just driving the racing line. Similar to Kamui Kobayashi defending. Just driving the racing line and letting the guy behind do the work to get around you. As we head through. Hello Finister, what from the world of Tier 7 comms. Welcome to the country of Tier 6 comms. And you're here at the moment with a Williams battling a Mercedes for last. We have Voxydan and Ibuprofen battling. Profen winning out on this occasion, heading into the PK corner. We have this trio with the owner in the middle, trying to source a... He's Moldy playing the hunter and the hunted at the moment, and he's being hunted down by Josh. Josh goes round, and he's now going to be under threat from Wedlake. In fact, he's been passed by Wedlake in ghost mode. So Moldy was being hunted as the hunter. Now he's just the hunter, and now Josh trying to hunt down Wedlake again. But Wedlake, with some extra DRS and ERS, gets ahead of Josh. So the senior Red Bull car gets ahead of the second senior Red Bull car gets ahead of the second of the junior Red Bull cars. Moldy now can fully focus on Dominic, but Dominic's on fresher mediums that may die off at the same rate as Moldy's hards. Lap 26 and 29, 3 laps to go. Monkey has controlled the field like a DualShock 4 PS4 controller. He's controlled it ahead of Alex Batch, who's executed this race very well, similar to how he did it in RGR Spa and RGR Vegas. Then comes that kid who started on pole. Looks like he's going to come home for a 3rd place. Then comes this battle between Moldy and Dominic. Then comes this battle between 2 Red Bull livery cars. Wedlake up into 6th, 1 place ahead of where he started. He's currently ahead of Josh, who's trying to figure out a way past the Oracle Red Bull car. Then comes the battle for French honours between the Alpine squad, powered by Renault. Then comes the McLaren as Wedlake and Josh. Wedlake's round. Wedlake, who was coming back after a spin on lap 1, doing donuts on the last corner. But the only thing with those donuts, they came 3 laps too early. Absolute disaster. He was battling for 6th. Now he's down in 10th, 4 places lower to where he was, and he's now got a lack of front wing. He's got the aerodynamics of a Formula E car now. The Williams, though, looks like he's going to go literally... No, he's going to go around the outside of Ultra. I was about to say, he could literally go through the Ferrari, who's in ghosted mode. But nothing made of it. We have Moldy getting a penalty for track limit warnings. We have Josh and CSR. So Josh losing the threat from Wedlake, the Welshman. Now he's able to focus again on this battle. So heading into the next corner, Yoshi gets out of last position ahead of Ultra. This battle between these two, going for it. As we head into the last 2 corners here on lap 28. Battles rage through the field. At the moment is to the inside for Josh. Nothing made of it though. Josh in the 36 AlphaTauri. Not able to make a move on Moldy in the Aston Martin here on the penultimate lap. It's now or never for these drivers to get into their positions and try and keep them. Wedlake making a late stop for front wing change. And we have the Mercedes of Hussein trying to get ahead of the guy who will be Profen. As Wedlake on the softs, he could maybe go for the fastest lap as a little bit of an honorary thing. As we have the 36 V-Carb. He's been doing this for the last 10 laps. Can he finally do it here on the penultimate lap? Lap 28. The battle for 5th. Moldy versus Josh. Moldy's not being caught by Josh, heading down Lakeside Drive into the New Zealand zigzag. Actually, the Haas is being caught by the Aston Martin. The 3 of them getting very close. Nothing made of it though, as there's a 10th separating Hussein and Wedlake. They don't look like they're swapping positions anytime soon. A move made by the 36 V-Carb. Nothing made of it though. Kamua Kobayashi defending here by Moldy. Great stuff. Defending like a lion. As he heads into the next 2 corners, he's just keeping his car on the racing line and not moving it, and letting Josh try and find a way offline to make a move. But obviously when you go offline, you don't have the effect of the slipstream, and you don't have the effect of the grip you have on the racing line, so that could maybe hurt him. As we head through the next 2 corners, and nearly contact between the pair of them, but the move can be made on the final lap to the outside. There's contact. Nearly contact between Moldy and the V-Carb, but he does a switchback. He does a Nintendo switchback to the outside of the Ricardo corner. Now to the inside of turn 5 Somerset corner. Great move by the V-Carb to get ahead of the Aston Martin. Up into 5th for Josh, but is he done there? He's going to head down Lakeside Drive and chase after the Haas. But he's coming down very quickly. Last lap. To the outside, and to P4 for Josh, making it a V-Carb 3-4. Great stuff there. Now we head down the Haas, the other Haas, Monkey. He's controlled the race all the way through, dominated the field here in Tier 6, and he wins the Australian Grand Prix of STB here in Tier 6. Alex Batch comes home just behind him in the Red Bull. Great start to his season for him as well. That kid started on pole position, comes home in 3rd. His teammate making the most of a final lap that you could ever do. And then comes Dominic, then comes Moldy, who get ahead of Josh on penalties. There's a yellow flag for one of the Mercedes. Both Alpines getting, I think that was 7th and 8th, but they've changed on penalties. DK, I don't think he had a penalty all race, so very clean race by DK. Then comes Linden, then comes veteran Muho, who finishes ahead of the so unlucky Wedlake, who spun a couple times but fights through for the fastest lap on the softs into P12. Then comes Ibuprofen, who will be 13th. then comes Voxy Dan, no, then comes Hussein QZ, then comes Voxy Dan, then comes his Williams teammate, then comes one of the most unfortunate drivers in this race, a man with so much potential. I'm excited to see him throughout the rest of the season. Yoshi, the man named after a Mario Kart character, really had the roller coaster of emotions here in STB. But what a drive from Monkey, who takes the win for the Toyota Haas crew. And while in the World Endurance Championship, they haven't fared so well, have Toyota. In the World Rally Championship, they fared very well. But here in STB, they've started out with a bang. As look at that, Toyota Haas taking up 4 of the award boards, with Monkey being the cleanest driver and also the race winner. The most overtakes done by your driver of the day, Dominic, then Wedlake taking the fastest lap on the last lap. Great stuff by this field. Thank you very much for watching here in STB. That is your running order. What a race. I will now... So Monkey is a British driver, so where is what I'm looking for? And I need to get something else up. But yeah, what a race. What a thank you as well to everyone at STB for the warm welcome. It's been an honour to commentate on today.